I just filmed the whole thing with the microphone off. Ugh! Creep? That's not a word. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Abby, I'm 22 years old. This is my second ever YouTube video, so you have to go easy on me. I'll link the introduction video that I filmed in the iCards and the description, and it'll also be at the end of the video if you do want to go and check that out. For today's video, I thought I would talk to you guys about my top contemporary monologues for auditions. I'm going to go through a whole host of different monologues, some that I've done, some that I haven't, but they're from plays that I absolutely love, and I think for the right person they would be the perfect monologue, but just for me they weren't this year. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Monologue number 1 is from a play called Cold Comfort Farm by Paul Doust, and it was adapted from a novel by Stella Gibbons. This play follows the story of our orphaned heroine Flora as she moves in with her distant family and she tries to basically fix them. They are quite quirky, to put it nicely. They're very, very strange. Some of them are very uneducated. So she kind of goes in there from her higher position in society and attempts to fix them and make them this perfect, wholesome family. It's a very, very satirical play. It breaks down the fourth wall a lot. Our protagonist is all-seeing, so she kind of knows where this whole thing is going. She pretty much knows where it's going to end, and she talks to the audience about that quite a lot, which I personally really liked when reading it. It's a very different read to what we're used to, I think, but it works so well for the play and the story that the playwright is trying to tell. The monologue that I chose takes place right at the end when Flora is talking to Aunt Ada Doom, who is basically the biggest antagonist in this play. She is what stands between Flora and her goal of creating this perfect family whereby every single person in it is taken care of and happy. I think what I love about this monologue that I had so much fun with this year when I used it for my auditions is that you can change it so much, and I can really see, looking at it, how one person might interpret it one way and another person might interpret it in a completely different way. It really allows you to play around with what happens in it. Flora is such a difficult character to pinpoint. There are moments when she's completely sarcastic. There are moments when she's downright rude. You could argue there are moments when she's actually just being genuinely horrible. And it makes it really interesting when the whole plot culminates in this giant takedown of her aunt. It makes it so much fun to play around with. Like, if you've got anger in you from the day, oh my god, it's so fun to use it. If you're feeling sympathetic for some reason, you know, put it in there because it really does change it, and it's so malleable to how you're feeling as an actor, which I think I loved it when I was performing it. Absolutely a blast to perform. Monologue number 2 is from the play Boys by Ella Hickson. Now, I'd be surprised if you hadn't heard of this. It's a beautiful play. It's a beautiful monologue. I did Sophie's monologue right where she's talking to Mac about her grief and her guilt. Boys follows a group of friends as they try to navigate coming from childhood into adulthood as they also graduate university, and it's one of the biggest shifts that we can go through as human beings. All of a sudden, you know, you're with your mum and dad every day, you're being looked after, you're being fed, you're being watered, and bam, all of a sudden you've got to do it yourself. When you've got the security blanket of a university, it makes that change slightly easier, but then when you graduate university, you've obviously got this massive, oh my gosh, now I'm an adult, I've got to do this by myself. And it's, you know, it's really daunting, and Ella Hickson just writes this beautiful story about loss and grief and friendship at the core of it, and how friends can really help and be there for you when you need them most. Again, you can read this monologue in so many different ways. There are so many points in it where the emotion can shift and can change, and you can change those points around as many times as you want. Like I said before, if you're feeling really angry that day, then let the anger come out in Sophie's monologue. If you're feeling really sad, then let the sadness come out. It's so interesting to play around and explore a bunch of different ways to do it. I think that's one of the things that make a good monologue, is when you can change the emotions in it to suit the needs of the play and the needs of you as an actor as well. I would definitely recommend giving this a read, even if you don't choose to do a monologue from it. It's amazing. Next up, we have Electrolyte by James Matyard. Now, this is one of the ones that I haven't actually performed myself. My friends went to see this at Edinburgh Fringe when it premiered, and I saw the live recording of it that they released over the first lockdown. This is a beautifully crafted piece of gig theatre, so it's so poetically written. We follow the story of Jessie as she tries to navigate this unthinkable loss that she's gone through in her life. We learn how that's affected her. It touches on drug abuse, alcohol abuse, grief, and at the core of it, it's a story about mental health and how, again, friends can really help with that. There's a bit of a running theme. It's not as cliche as that though. It is so moving and it is so well crafted that it just is such an easy read, especially if you can watch it and you can hear the songs, you can hear the music that they're playing in the background. I really recommend having a Google and see if you can find a version of it online. Jessie is our main character in this, so a lot of the dialogue is hers, and there are many opportunities where you could kind of smush loads of monologues together to create one that's the perfect length for your school or your audition. It just works really, really well at being the type of monologue that you can just put together yourself and build it how you want to. And Olivia Sweeney, who plays Jessie, is unbelievably talented. She's a phenomenal actress. You really, really feel for this character. You understand this character and her motives. It's so beautifully crafted. Amazing. Best piece of theatre I've seen in 2020, I think. Which wasn't a lot because lockdown, but whatever. The next monologue that I'm going to share with you is maybe controversial for some people because I'm actually going to share with you a monologue book. This is the National Youth Theatre Monologues. Now, I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions about monologue books, but I think if you do it properly and you use them correctly, they can be perfect for auditions. Firstly, I'm going to say please make sure that the book that you are using for your monologues is a British book, so that the plays in it are British. That's quite important, especially if you're auditioning for drama schools. They tend to want British playwrights and British plays. So something like this, the National Youth Theatre, obviously we know it's British, is a good safe bet. The second thing to mention when choosing a monologue from a monologue book is that it is great. It saves you a bunch of money. You can buy one book and read so many different plays. But once you've picked one that you like, go and buy the play that it is from. I actually picked Cold Comfort Farm from this book for my auditions this year. I then bought the play so I could read it in its entirety and really get a vibe of the characters. You can't build a character off of just the monologue. You don't know anything about them, anything about how they talk to other characters in the play. It's so important to make sure you do your research. Buy the play, read the play, find another play by that playwright and see if you can read that one as well. I find that helps in terms of seeing if there's a correlation between any characters, learning how they build their characters more. I find that really does help. You know, if you can find a version of it online, give it a watch. I really do think there's not a problem with using monologue books so long as you do it properly and you really put the work in afterwards. It does save a lot of money. Like I said, I used it this year. There are a couple in here that I really like, actually. There's male monologues in here, female monologues. I really do think it's a very easy way of finding a monologue, but you have to do the hard work that comes afterwards. Another good way to save money when thinking about monologues is to buy a bunch of plays by a playwright that you like. So, for example, I fell in love with Ella Hickson's plays. I then went to buy Ella Hickson Plays 1, which has 6 different plays of hers, including boys, in it. I love the way she tells stories. I fell in love with her as a playwright, so I thought, well, if I like her, then I'll like other plays that she's written. If it's your second year auditioning for drama school and you really liked the monologue that you had last time, but obviously you can't use that again, go and have a look at the playwright's other plays. See if there's anything you can grab from any of those. There are a couple of decent monologues in here. So it's just about exploring, finding ways that you can do that are cheaper as well, because I know how difficult it is to find plays to read and monologues when money's a bit tight. So reading other plays by your favourite playwright is another great way to ensure that the play you're going to get is a good quality one, and also if there is a monologue in it, it will be well written. Another notable mention when monologue hunting is to find a collection of short plays in one book. I found this one off of Amazon. It's called Women Centre Stage. It is 8 short plays by and about women. So all of these playwrights are British, again, so that you know you're going to get a British playwright, you know you're going to get a British play. It's a great way to save money, but again, to explore buying different plays and finding different plays that you can read that might have good monologues in them. There are a couple in here, it depends how old you are. There's one for an older person in here that I think is great, but obviously I can't do it because I am 22 years old. The last play in here is called What is the Custom of Your Grief by Timberlake Wertenbaker. I'm going to read you this. It's about an English schoolgirl whose brother has been killed on active duty in Afghanistan and is befriended online by an Afghan girl. That is like, again, one of my top plays of 2020 that I read. I loved it. It's like 20 pages long. It's not long at all. Oh my god, it's less than that. It's 10 pages long. It is 10 pages long, but it is one of the best things I read in 2020. Sometimes you can find absolute gold dust in plays like these, but again, just do your research on the play you're buying and make sure that they are British, make sure that there's going to be at least one monologue in there that you might be able to use, and it's a win. So that is it for today's videos and the contemporary monologues. I am constantly reading new plays. I've got a bit of a library situation going on with some of my friends where I borrow something they have, they borrow something that I've got. So I'm really trying to expand my plays and the plays that I read. So if you have any good plays that you think I should read, let me know in the comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and make sure to subscribe for more theatre, drama school and lifestyle content.